Welcome to Roger That, a podcast presented by HVAF of Indiana. I'm your host, Lauren Carpenter, and join me as we discuss how HVAF is ending veteran homelessness and how you can join us in our mission. We'll be having conversations with community partners, staff members, and even some of the veterans we serve. We hope sharing more of our story with supporters like you can shine a light and give a voice to this vulnerable population, because no hero should ever be homeless. Before we get started with today's episode, here are some stats we'd like to share that show how HVAF served Hoosier Heroes in Central Indiana last month. So in October 2023, we provided temporary housing for 76 veterans and provided rent and utility assistance for 213 veterans. We provided essential items to 248 veterans through our food, hygiene, and clothing pantry. Our employment specialists helped 13 veterans land a new, fulfilling job. And so far this year, we have served 1,239 veterans, and we know we couldn't serve this many Hoosier Heroes without your support. So thank you for donating, volunteering, following us on social media, and listening to this podcast. To find out more about how we serve homeless and at-risk veterans, as well as their families, head to hvaf.org. So it was about this time last year that we decided we would move forward with the idea of launching a podcast in 2023. So here we are 1 year later, 12 episodes later, 1 season down. And I was definitely nervous just to learn how to record, produce, edit, and launch a podcast. But it's been really exciting, and I'm so glad that we have had the opportunity to share HVAF's story in this way. I've even learned a lot too with, talking to our community partners, some of our staff and veterans. So I just want to thank you for listening to Roger That and supporting HVAF's Hoosier Heroes in this way. So yes, this is the season 1 finale. And what better way to end the first season and to have the 12th episode focus on the 12 Vets of Christmas. So for those who have followed HVAF for several years now, you're probably familiar with this tradition, but for those who aren't, starting December 20th, each day for 12 days, we are going to feature a veteran on our blog and social media whose life has been positively changed because of the essential services and programs HVAF provided in 2023. We'll be featuring veterans who were homeless one day and in a warm, safe place the next, went from joblessness to a new career, or even went from hopelessness to having newfound hope. Of course, this is only made possible because of the generosity of individuals like you. And these are just 12 of the 1,200 plus veterans that were provided life-changing services this year. So while following along with each veteran's story, we hope that you will feel inspired to join in our campaign and make a year-end tax-deductible donation. All funding received through this campaign will be used to help veterans in need of a helping hand next year. And so on this episode of Roger That, you'll get to meet this year's 12 Vets of Christmas. So these are veterans I've had the privilege of interviewing and sharing their story this year. So I'm so excited to be able to share them with you now. So join me along with HVAF's VP for Advancement, Ashley Walls, as we introduce to you the 2023 12 Vets of Christmas. All right, Ashley, serious question.
Lay it on me.
Do you put your Christmas decorations up before or after Thanksgiving?
Well, I hate to be the ball humbug here, but I haven't put a Christmas tree up in probably 5 years.
Oh my.
But now that we're in a new house,
yes,
we have more space. We are hoping to do one this year, but it would be it'll be after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Thanksgiving weekend or after person.
That is me. There haven't COVID, because it was just a sad year. I did put Christmas decorations up a little bit earlier because it just made me feel better.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but usually I'm it's the day after that weekend after Thanksgiving. So I ask that because we're recording and this is actually coming out right before Thanksgiving, and we are in our Christmas sweaters if you were watching the episode, and we got Christmas music playing, and so we're definitely already in the Christmas
we're feeling
spirit. Yeah. So and with Christmas, we're going right into it with the 12 Vets of Christmas. So
my favorite time of year.
Yes, I think so too. I mean, I think Operation Alpha and then into 12 Vets is always a good time, and it's a good little busy that we got going. And
right.
Now this is, we've done like 5 Operation Alphas together now. Now this is the 5th annual 12 Vets of Christmas.
Yep.
So yeah, we've been doing this since 2019. So
Hey, we find something that works and we
Yeah.
stick with it.
that's right. That's right.
Just make it work.
Yeah. Was it don't reinvent the wheel?
Exactly.
Yeah. Whatever that saying is. So how did you get the idea to start 12 Vets of Christmas in the first place back in 2019?
Yeah. So I came on board mid-year of 2019 and
Yeah.
joined the team with you, and you had told me that your goal for the year was to interview at least one veteran a month and get their success story or learn more about how we helped them.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we got closer to the end of the year, I was thinking, we got to do a big year-end campaign. We got to do the year-end push and get people to, write those checks and make those online donations for their tax deductions for the end of the year. And I thought, storytelling is always the best way to go when communicating with donors and constituents. And I thought we could highlight every veteran that you did a story on throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
And let's call it the 12 Vets of Christmas.
Yeah.
And so it stuck, and it's gotten bigger and better every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know it's kind of cute now. One story a month, because now we're doing 2 stories
Exactly.
a month.
Two stories a month plus podcast. and-
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's actually, we have to choose what 12 veterans. So yeah. So we're going to be introducing the 12 veterans right now. But just to let you know, there are I don't know how many then, I guess 24.
Almost.
Yeah. On the blog, and of course from years past. So we encourage you to go to our blog and check out, because this is not the best stories. It's just that we had to choose 12, and there's many more that are really great stories to share.
Right.
There's just every veteran that I interview, it's always a different situation, and it's just really inspiring to hear how far they've come and how we've been able to help them. So yeah, I encourage you guys to go to the blog and check that out. So, well, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. So who is the first vet of Christmas?
All right. We have Al, who's a Navy veteran.
Mhm.
And I actually met Al. I was going to say this a little bit earlier, but forgot. But, we, in our department, we're not in front of face-to-face with the veterans very often.
Mm-hmm.
In your role, you get to on the storytelling, but
Yeah.
but we're not seeing them every day and dealing with them every day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's my favorite, activity is reading these stories and learning about these veterans. And anytime I get a chance to actually meet a veteran
Mm-hmm.
and hear their story, it sticks with me.
Yeah.
And so that's another reason why this is my favorite time of year, because we get to relive these stories and
Yeah.
stories we wouldn't know about if you weren't doing what you were doing, because we're just not out there, on the
Mhm.
ground working with these veterans. Our wonderful case managers and outreach staff do.
Yeah.
So anyways, we have Al. I
Mhm.
met Al last year at a Thanksgiving luncheon hosted by one of our American Legion posts, and our founder, Louise Lloyd, she hosts that every year.
Mm-hmm.
He came, he was living at our Warman property, and he told me he struggled with alcoholism, he had a job loss and turned to HVF. He was a college athlete back in the day and
Mm-hmm.
just had a lot going for him at one point, but I think alcoholism took the best of him, and he had some family issues, and so we were able to house him at Warman, and he worked with our employment team, and now he's working at Proctor Place, our newest
Yep.
property, doing maintenance, and he's got a
Yep.
full-time gig. So,
Yeah, I actually just saw him a couple weeks ago when I was at Proctor Place doing another story, and yeah, he's doing really well. He's busy working because he works for Wodo Cooper Companies, who we co-own Proctor Place with. So he actually goes to some of the other properties too.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so that Wodo Cooper owns. So yeah, so he's excited about that. I actually tried to a lot of our veterans that we share, we also, set them up with maybe some interviews with the media. And actually this summer I tried to get him an interview, and he said he was too busy for working, which was a good problem
Right,
to have.
that's
So,
awesome.
yeah. So
No,
I'm
I
super
can tell
excited
he
to see
likes
that.
to work. I think his problem was just finding the right job and it
Mhm.
sticking.
Yeah.
And so he's been doing this for several months, and we're super proud and happy for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, a job that the veteran likes is the second veteran of Christmas. It is Barry. He served in the Army, and he came to us. He had lost his job and he was homeless, and we housed him in our Manchester transitional apartments, and he went through our VetWorks program. And he then also in the second phase of VetWorks, getting your certification or education, he went to Second Helpings and got his certification to become a cook. So now he is working his dream job as a chef at one of the cafeterias at Eli Lilly. So that is really cool to see.
He's got a good job there.
Yeah.
He's got a good job. And I love the photo
of
him in his chef hat.
Yes. I'll put that over the video right now. But so he actually then in February this year, RTV6 came by and did a story on him. And so just talking about, how he had just gotten that job and he was super excited about it. So I'll include a link to that story in the show notes. So now the third vet.
Yeah, we go from Barry to Sherry.
That was not intentional. It just happened.
Sherry's another Navy vet like Al.
Mm-hmm.
Also an intern with VetWorks, our 3-phase career readiness and training program that a lot of our veterans are now going through. She worked one-on-one with Dwayne, our AT coordinator, and just gained a lot of great experience. She also lived in Manchester apartments where she was provided that temporary housing, case management, and access to our clothing, food, hygiene pantry. So she really, we provided her the whole, wraparound service experience.
Yep.
But now she's got a new career as a supervisor, and I think she's on her own now, right? She's got her own apartment.
She does.
So yeah, we're super excited for Sherry.
Yeah. I know she was. When I interviewed her, she said, "It's my season."
I
loved that. Yeah. She was so excited, so thankful for Dwayne and his, passing his knowledge on to her. Because now not even just working, she's in a supervisor position. So
right.
That shows too. I know one thing with VetWorks is I know the goal was first 18 an hour, and now it's up to maybe the average is like 23 something.
Yeah, it's like 22 and some change an hour.
Yeah.
That they're placing veterans in career jobs, positions of a livable wage.
Yes. Yeah. So that's super important, especially all the, the prices nowadays, having that hourly wage is super important. So. And our next veteran, this is the fourth vet of Christmas, is Michael. He is an Army veteran, and he lives in Veterans Villa, which is one of our permanent supportive housing properties. It's an apartment building. And he's been there for, I want to say probably over a year now. And when he first got there, he was, his case manager told me he was, kind of to himself, would only stay in his room. And one thing with the permanent housing, especially at Vets Villa, is they really want to be about community there. And so, helping veterans to feel included and have a family aspect there. And so, I think at first he really wasn't into that. And so, but little by little, he kind of, I think, saw that these people do care about him. He, we gained that trust. And so now he comes to more of their dinners and other, activities that they have. So they're super excited to see that. And unfortunately, Michael has been dealing with battling leukemia. But on the bright side of that is that he has, a safe, consistent place to live while he is going through that. So I talked to his case manager this week, and I guess he does get tested every couple months. His levels though right now are good, so he's doing pretty well. And despite all of that, he also is working a part-time job. So
good for him.
Yeah. So we're happy, that of course we wish it could have be somewhat better circumstances for him, but given what he's going through, that we're just glad that we can help him through it.
Right. And, and he has access to his case manager and a peer mentor over there at Vets Villa. So it's a whole community that they've built. So I'm glad to hear that he's investing in it and being part of it.
Yeah, me too. The fifth vet of Christmas.
Yeah, that's right. This is Jeremiah, an Army veteran and another VetWorks intern. So we've helped Jeremiah a couple times over the years. I think a few years back, he had been incarcerated, and when he got released from prison, they actually brought him to our Warman property, and which is for transitional housing for men. and he lived there, and it sounds like he kind of got back on his feet, and then maybe he fell off track again.
Yeah.
So now he is sober, and he worked through our VetWorks program and was trained in being a recovery coach or recovery counselor, and is now working where he received treatment at Landmark. So now he's employed and helping others like him and sharing his experience.
Yeah, I think that is really cool that, not only now is he going through his own recovery experience, he's able to, everything he's gone through, because, he was sharing with me, it's been years of back and forth. And so now he's been consistently sober for a couple of years now, and just being able to not see the past as a waste, but being able to help others, through their journey as well, and take what he's learned and, pass that on to others.
And I'm sure that helps him stay sober.
For sure.
And, that kind of makes him be accountable to those that he's helping, because he has to stay on the up and up just like he wants them to.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, he's a great story. All right. The sixth vet of Christmas is Army veteran Davina. So Davina had come to us earlier this year. She had lost her job and was homeless, and we were able to put her in our TIP program, which is Transition in Place. And that is where HVAF just, we take over that lease. It is in our name while they are living in that unit. And we paid for her rent and utility bills while a case manager helped to address, those barriers that were, keeping her from having her own place, having her job, and not, avoiding her, going back to homelessness. And she also had some substance abuse issues, and she was, trying to overcome those as well. And when I talked to her this summer, a huge thing she said was that when she came here and talked to our case managers, she never felt any judgment, even if she, slipped up a little bit and, was going through it. She never felt like anyone was judging her or upset with her. They knew that she was trying to grow.
To support.
Yeah. So now she actually has moved to Ohio to kind of just start over and rebuild in a new place. And so, but recently she texted with her case manager, Sarah, and she was just telling her just how well she's doing, and she's just loving life now. And it's all because of how HVAF was able to help her. And, because we didn't judge her when she was trying to fix everything. And so now she's doing, just infinitely better. So,
well, good for her.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And our case managers, they've seen it all. They've dealt with it all. Their patience is admirable, and they stick with their veterans and through it all, and help them fight every obstacle that comes their way.
Yeah, so definitely.
Well, our seventh vet is Leroy, who is an Army and a Marine vet. But Leroy has experienced chronic homelessness through his lifetime. I think he had said 7 times been homeless in 23 different states.
Yes.
Finally came to Indiana and sought help from HVAF. He, had been battling addiction and substance abuse issues, and eventually, got the help he needed and found sobriety. And he moved into Vets Villa, that we've mentioned before, is our permanent supportive housing apartment complex, where he has access to a case manager and a peer mentor. He has access to our food pantry and employment services, anything he needs. But the exciting thing about Leroy is that in December, he will celebrate 3 years of being sober and clean.
Yes.
So we're really pumped to share his story, and you can just tell he's a good soul when you talk to him, when you see him on video. He's got a good soul. Yes.
And someone else who would agree with that is one of his case managers at Veterans Villa, Sarah. I'm pretty sure have us in the video too, so, and his story. But when she had first started, she started earlier this year working for HVAF and working at Veterans Villa. And she was kind of nervous, to get started. But as soon as she saw Leroy, she just knew that was someone she wanted to work with, and asked, can I take on his caseload? Can he be added to my,
that's sweet,
to my caseload? Yeah. And so, she says that they help each other, and she I think that's something that's sweet too. When I talk to case managers, it's not just that we're pouring into them, they're also helping our case managers in a way, and can be a bright spot in their day as well.
Right.
And so I know that's something that Sarah said, that, Leroy has a lot of jokes that he likes to share. And so, so it's just nice that they get to, have that friendship too.
Yeah.
So.
No, our permanent supportive housing program is truly life-changing and lets these veterans that have experienced homelessness through their lifetime really have a place to stay and stay forever.
Mm-hmm.
They don't ever have to leave.
Right. Yeah. Well, speaking of friendships with case managers and veterans,
Right.
for the 8th Vet of Christmas is Army National Guard veteran Kyla. And Kyla came to us about a year ago, and actually she was one of our case manager, Ann. It was one of her first veterans to help out whenever she started working here. And so Kyla had a lot of grief from losing her father while she was training to be in the National Guard, when she was at training camp. And so
She wanted to be a medic?
she wanted to be a nurse,
That's right.
and she was on the wait list, so she decided to go to enlist. And so then she just carried on with that. So while she was away, it was when her father had passed away, and she didn't really know how to deal with it, so she turned to alcohol for that.
Okay.
And so and she's very open about this. You can read about it on our blog, but then also she did a story with Fox 59 in October, and it was in October, and then the story came out earlier this month in November. And so I'll include a link to that story as well, because she spent a lot of years just not dealing with it the right way, and then a couple years ago decided to become clean and to make some big changes in her life so she could become more self-sufficient. And so one of those changes was coming to HVAF for that help. And so now she's working full-time. She just got a promotion, and she was able to, with the support she got from us, she could save money and buy a new vehicle for herself. She also has 2 kids.
Oh, wow.
So she's taking care of them. And right now her next goal is to get a house. And the way she works so hard and is, willing to do whatever it takes, I know she's going to be able to get a house. Probably, the next time I hear about her or talk to her, she'll probably be moving in. So, so I'm really excited about that.
She's a go-getter.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I think she just needed help getting organized and
Yes.
staying on track.
Mhm.
One thing about Kyla is she's a younger veteran,
Mhm.
and the majority of the veterans we do serve tend to be over 50, but
Mhm.
we are seeing a lot more younger single parents come through our programs, and she's one of those.
But yeah, and whenever we interviewed her back in the summer, and seeing her with Ann, it was just really sweet. It was like a mother-daughter bond there, and so again, like I've said before, it's just really cool to see how close these case managers and veterans can get, and how, that's something that Ann has even told me, like, now she has graduated from our programs, but, Ann's like, oh, but we're friends for life.
Right.
We're gonna, I'm still gonna check in with her. Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. So that was one reason when Fox 59 reached out, wanted to do a story on a female veteran specifically. I said, well, you need to talk to Kyla and Ann, because they have such a sweet bond. More people need to know about this. And so, so again, I'll link that story because it's pretty great.
So our 9th veteran of Christmas is Roscoe. Roscoe was homeless after moving to Indiana, and lived at Warman property.
So one thing that he told me was he moved here from Illinois to Indiana on a Sunday. He was going to move in with his sister.
Right.
And then so he moved here on Sunday. Then on Monday went to the VA, and by Wednesday he was living in Warman. So it's just so cool how fast it moves. So when people come to us, we can get them squared away, right away.
Yeah, I actually experienced that this week with a different veteran. that walked into an American Legion. That American Legion called and said, this veteran was living in his car. Now he's wrecked his car. He can't drive it. He has nowhere to go. And within days, we had him in at Warman property as well. So looking forward to sharing that story after the first of the year.
Yes.
The full story of that. But yeah, back to Roscoe. So, one of the things about Roscoe is that he was hesitant, but then started meeting with our therapist that we have here on staff, Keisha, and has even said since that a lot of he had that kind of stigma that he didn't need therapy, and that the personalized kind of interaction he was too much of a man to do that. And so now I think in his role as a recovery coach and peer mentor, he's encouraging those he's helping to also seek one-on-one therapy like he did. And does he still see Keisha or?
Yeah. He sees her every 2 weeks.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So he's part of, he is a recovery coach with Recovery Cafe. And then he also is a mentor with Dads Inc., which they're a group that helps dads have good relationships with their children. And so in that program, he said specifically he really wants them to know that therapy is normal and is encouraged. And he's a big guy and looks tough and everything. From the outside, you probably wouldn't expect most people wouldn't expect him to go to therapy, but he does. And so he wants those guys to know that even him, it's okay if you go. It's great if you go.
I love that. I love that he's open about it and owns it.
Yeah.
It's helped him. So tell other people they can get help too.
Right. Exactly. Our 10th vet of Christmas is Navy veteran Anna, and she is actually the first veteran to move into our newest permanent supportive housing, Proctor Place. We mentioned Proctor Place a little bit in the very beginning when we talked about Al and how he works there. So we partnered with Woda Cooper to open up Proctor Place earlier this year. And so, she is the first veteran to move in there with her 2-year-old son, Amir. They were actually in their car when they first came to HVA. It was her uncle as a veteran, knew about HVAF, told her, hey, you need to call them and, see if they can do anything. And again, how fast we move. It was the next day. She was in a hotel.
Yeah, that's right. It was when we were able to put her in a hotel
until she could move into Proctor Place. Right. Yeah. So that's another thing I think is cool too. It's not just like, oh, well, we can't help you right now, so come back. It's well, we can't move you to Proctor Place, but we can put you in a hotel, or we can do this instead. They work with and try to make those ends meet and fill those gaps. So now she is there at Proctor Place with her son. When I went and interviewed her, he was there, and he's so cute, and he has his own room there, and he was just so happy to be there. There's a playground there as well that they can just walk right out and walk up to it. And so,
and it's a beautiful property.
It really is.
That building it's brand new. I think there's 61 units, 15 are for veterans that we serve and their families. And it's just a really pretty property. We have a full-time case manager that's there 5 days a week. So if Anna or any of the others living there need her, they have access to her right there on spot.
Yep.
But Anna, I love that story, and I love that we were able to help her so quickly and get her into a hotel. I mean, living in a car with a 2-year-old is not good.
Yeah. I'm glad we could help both of them, and that's another thing. We don't just help the veteran, we help their family as well. And she's a great example of that.
Another single mom.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I know now that she's got that permanent house and that stability, she now wants to focus on go back to work and whatever that takes. So she's going to work with our employment team. So her story isn't over. We're still going to help her along the way. So excited to see where she goes. So
all right, our 11th veteran of Christmas is Dee, who's a Army vet, also living at Veterans Villa. Moved to Indiana, was homeless, and found HVAF. Has now been living at Vets Villa for a year.
Well, it was a year when I first interviewed her, so that was back beginning of this year. So she's going on 2 years.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, and so, I know, she made a comment to you about how much she loves having that daily check-in from her case manager and that support there to keep her on track.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think is cool about the permanent supportive housing. Like at Vets Villa, just walk downstairs and your case manager's right there, whenever you need that help. So she's able to.
Yeah, you wake up having a bad day and need someone to talk to. There you go.
Yep.
And we've got a peer mentor that hosts groups there. I think one of her groups is a Monday morning session called
Survive the Weekend.
Surviving the Weekend. And I know that's been a hit. So maybe Dee participates in that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think it's really cool that the peer mentors there offering those kind of programs.
Yeah. Yeah. What stuck out to me when I interviewed Dee is that she said, I've only been here for a year at the time, and look where I am now. She just, I think was, when they go in, I think they expect maybe to get some help, but not realize how many services we truly have and how much their case managers truly care about their well-being. So yeah, it's exciting to see how well she's been able to do. And, I don't exactly know how she got to Indiana, but thank goodness she did, because who knows where she'd be now.
Right.
It is time for our last but not least. The 12th vet of Christmas is Army National Guard veteran Michael.
And this is a special story to Lauren.
Yes, it is. He actually was walking downtown and he saw these guys working in, the neon shirts, and said, how do you get this job? You guys are sleeping in the streets. I think I could do that. And they said, well, are you a veteran? He said, yeah. He said, well, we're at HVAF through VetWorks doing the internship portion of the VetWorks workforce development program. And we're, sweeping the streets of downtown. And so maybe you can do that. And he actually had just then was getting it started with our employment program. So then he's like, well, I actually know who you're talking about. Maybe I can do this. So
I don't think I realized that part.
Yeah.
He was already connected.
Yeah. So he knew who we were. So they got him started, and, phase 1 of VetWorks is an internship. It's either here in one of our departments or with Downtown Indy as on their clean team.
Right.
And so, so that's, if you see those guys when you're downtown in those neon shirts sweeping the streets, they're with Downtown Indy, and maybe they are also with HVAF.
A lot of them are often that are working downtown are often with HVAF VetWorks program.
Yes. Yeah. And while they're doing that, we have Cole on our VetWorks team, who is mainly there at the Downtown Indy building, working directly with those veterans. And so not just getting them set up to, clean around Downtown Indy, they're also, working on the soft and hard skills as well. So whenever he was working with Michael, he realized that it was just really hard communicating because he just couldn't hear very well. I mean, he had to keep repeating himself and all that. And he was, Cole's like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen when placing him in a career, if he can't hear people,
right.
It's something we just take for granted.
Yeah.
And so
a definite barrier.
Yes. So he was trying to think of ways, how can we help with this? Because, it's not a cheap fix. So we have our healthcare navigator, Lucy, where she, helps with all things health for our veterans. And so Cole asked Lucy, is there a program, where he could get free hearing aids? And sure enough, she found a program for him, got the hearing aids. It was all like very fast. And, as we keep saying, like, but we can provide these services for them really quickly. And so now he can hear so much better. We're recording right the day before our VetWorks graduation. So by the time this comes out, we would have had it. So he's set to graduate phase 1 of the VetWorks program. And he's, one thing I think is really sweet is that he told his case manager, he told Cole, that he was at the bus stop and he could hear the birds chirping for the first time. Again, that's something we take for granted, right? Hearing the birds. So I just thought that was really sweet, and just glad that he can, keep moving forward.
Yeah, such a sweet story. And I know Cole was so excited. Yeah. So excited when Lucy, found that program and was able to take care of that obstacle, and barrier. But, it's just such a heartwarming story there. Yeah. So I'm glad that's where we're ending.
So as we have said, the 12 Vets of Christmas is starting on December 20th. It's going to go until New Year's Eve, December 31st. So for each day For those 12 days, we're going to feature one of these veterans, their story. And, here in this episode, we, shared each one, but you just got a glimpse of their story. And so I really encourage you guys to be sure to follow along. You'll get to see a video, so you get to hear directly from them, which I think is super impactful. And so that's going to be on our social media. It's at HVAF of Indiana, and also our blog, which go to hvaf.org for that. And we're going to be sending an email out as well. So if you want to get subscribed to that, be sure to head to hvaf.org, and there's a big button that says join the newsletter. You can't miss it.
Yeah, you'll get daily emails from me, I think.
Yes. yeah. And so we'll have a little bit of like an intro to the story and then their video. So it's a super easy way to follow along is by email.
Yeah, it really is a special time of year, and year-end fundraising. Me being a fundraiser is always exciting. But this is being part of HVAF and the veterans we serve is just tugs at my heart and makes me want to make it every year better than the last. And so it's our hope that you read and watch these stories every day, and that you get inspired to help HVAF continue the work that we're doing. I mean, these are veterans that have been served and their lives have been changed within the last year. But, there are only 12 of the 1,200, almost 1,300 veterans we've served this year already. We're going to serve that many more next year. We're going to have that many more veterans to provide all these different services to. So, if you are looking for an organization to make your year-end tax-deductible donation to, we hope that you'll choose HVAF and the veterans we serve. And no donation is too small.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, Ashley, for coming on here and helping me introduce the 2023 12 Vets of Christmas.
Happy to be a part of it, and just excited to see how it goes.
All right, that wraps up this episode of Roger That. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to Roger That on wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow us on social media at HVAF of Indiana. And for even more stories on HVAF and the veterans that we serve, check out our blog on our website at hvaf.org. Thank you, and until no hero is homeless, we'll see you next time on Roger That, a podcast presented by HVAF of Indiana.